Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Girls, and Purrs. My name's Leslie, and today I'm going to be discussing my summer TBR for 2023. Here we go. Let me take a sip, and I will get cracking. Alright, so for the month of June, I want to focus on Octavia E. Butler. June is her birthday month, so I thought that would be a great way to celebrate her body of work. And so it's not just going to be her work, it's going to be books that are in reference to the author's work. So I'm going to read Lilith's Brood, which is a trilogy. It's Dawn, Adulthood Rights, and Imago. I've read Dawn before, so if I could find an audio version of that book through Libby or, what's the other one? There's another library app I use. I would kind of like to speed read through Dawn just as a refresher, so I could go ahead and jump into the other two books of the trilogy. And so on the back it says, Lilith is in the Andes, mourning the death of her family when war destroys Earth. Centuries later, she is resurrected by miraculously powerful, unearthly beings. I can't remember how to say this. Oankali, driven by an irresistible need to heal others, the Oankali are rescuing our dying planet by merging genetically with manhood. But Lilith and all humanity must now share the world with uncanny, unimaginably alien creatures, their own children. I just remember reading Dawn in a book club. I think it was back in maybe 2013. I really enjoyed the book, but no one else in my group was really into the book, and I felt too bashful to champion it because other people in my book group at the time really did not like it, and I was kind of I don't know. So anyways, I do look forward to actually rereading Dawn just to see if I still feel the same way about it as I did the first time. There were certain characters in this book that for some reason I actually picture a certain person instead of just focusing on using my imagination and the details that Octavia E. Butler used, and I don't know why, but I'll discuss it once I've read it. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is gonna be Octavia's Brood. This is also a book I bought years ago, and I think it was also in Washington State with a friend of mine at the time. So this is one of the many books that's been collecting dust on my shelf, and I thought that this would be a great way to read Lilith's Brood and then read Octavia's Brood. I just thought that would be kind of apt. And so on the back it says, whenever we envision a world without war, without prison, without capitalism, we are producing visionary fiction. And so what this book is actually a collection of various authors. I think writing in a way that's a nod to Octavia Butler, writing in a way that was about sci-fi as a platform to talk about social justice. And so yeah, this is just one of those books I've been wanting to get to. So I'm reading it in June. And I also have a book that's very short. I think it's actually meant for a younger audience, and that's Star Child by E.B. Zoboy. I actually followed him on Instagram, and that's how I found out about this book, and so I picked it up. And I know it's it looks like it's just poems in here. There's also one other book, I do not have it on me, that is in reference to the author, not specifically their work, but the author, like this. And I think it might be quotes or something like that. I don't have the name right now, but if I can, I also want to pick up a copy of that. And once again, I'm only focusing on books that are on my shelf, and I'm making like little exceptions, and this would be one of them. And so we'll see. Once I start reviewing books, let's see if I have the time to also squeeze in something else regarding Octavia E. Butler. And so that's for June. Oh my gosh, that's already quite a bit. And now I still got to talk about July and August. All right, so for the month of July, I'm going to be focusing on Carmen Maria Machado. Her book is Her Body and Other Parties. I think this is a short story collection. Let me read the back. In her electrifying debut, the author blithely demolishes the borders between psychological realism and science fiction, comedy and horror, fantasy and fabulism. Here are 8 startling stories that map the realities of women's lives and the violence visited upon their bodies. So yeah, short stories. And the other one, I believe it's like a creative memoir. It's called In the Dream House. And on the back it says, Machado's prismatic, revolutionary memoir is an electrifying account of a relationship gone bad and a bold dissection of the mechanisms and cultural representations of psychological abuse. Each chapter is driven by its own narrative trope. The haunted house, erotica, the Bildungsroman, through which Machado holds her story up to the light while also casting a critical eye over legal proceedings, fairy tales, iconic works of film and fiction, and a broad swath of queer history. So this sounds great. I feel like if I'm going to choose which one I like more, I think it might be this one, but too soon to tell. So that's for the month of July. And for the month of August, I'm going to be focusing on an author that I've read, I want to say 2 books by this author, and I have several others on my shelf that I want to make a priority this year to get to. Oh my gosh, I just realized I haven't practiced his name. Please forgive me. Hopefully I don't butcher his name, but by the time I review each book, I'll have it down. And it's Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o. I have like 3 books. This one is The River Between. Let me see. On the back it says, on 2 neighboring mountain ridges in Kenya during the early days of white settlement, the Gikuyu people are torn between those who are drawn to the newcomers' fire Christianity and those holding fast to their people's magical customs. So there's another book I read, I know I mentioned, by the author. Years ago I stepped into a Barnes & Noble for no other reason to peruse like I usually do. And I picked up a book. And now I want to kick myself because I'm trying to look for a list of his other books. I'll bring it up again. But he wrote a book that I just really loved so much. And also the author's life itself is absolutely fascinating. And he's an author that has quite a large catalog of work that's not just fiction but nonfiction. And I don't know for sure, but if one of them's memoir, I'm definitely at some point going to want to read it. It won't be this year. I don't think I'll have enough time to cover it, but that's something that I'm keeping in mind. And the second book is A Grain of Wheat by the same author, and it says that this book is set in the wake of the Mau Mau Rebellion and on the cusp of Kenya's independence from Britain. A Grain of Wheat follows a group of villagers whose lives have been transformed By the 1952 and 1960s emergency, at the center of it all, as a reticent Ngũgĩ, the village's chosen hero, and a man haunted by a terrible secret. And if I could find a list. Oh. My other book has a list of like all his other works, and I don't see it in this one, which is a bummer. But he's written quite a bit. All right, and the last book that is the thinnest of the two, or of the three, I should say, is Decolonizing the Mind. And it says oh, I'm saying it wrong. The Politics of Language in African Literature. And on the back, it just refers to the author's other work, which I'm glad it does. And the book that I read by the author first was Devil on the Cross. And if you haven't read that, that's such a good book. My only critique of that one was I kind of didn't like how the ending was wrapped up. But beyond that, I love that book. And so I think that's something that I really want to do, is just focus on reading his work. Like, I want to read his entire body of work. But anyways, I'm just kind of jibber-jabbering because I really do that when I love authors. So that's 3 for the month of August, 2 for the month of July, and this isn't quite 3. This is more like 5 because Lilith's Brood is like 3 books. So yeah, this is gonna be my summer TBR. I think I'll be able to get through it. My schedule won't be so crazy. And so yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know. Comment below, or if you've read any other work by the author that you just want to let me know about. Let me know why you loved it or didn't love it. I'd appreciate it. So like, comment, subscribe below. Let me see. If you're watching for the first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. And if you're returning, thank you as well. I'm always glad to have you here, and I really appreciate your support. And I think that's it. So I'll see you later.